From the Ohio AgNet, Voice You Know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joel Norwood, joining you with your farm news as we wrap up here on Monday. Still plenty cold out there today. Stay bundled up and stay safe out there if you're working outside. Couple notes to pass along. Thanks to Ohio soybean farmers, Grow Next Gen provides free STEM tools and connects students to high-tech ag careers. Learn more today at grownextgen.org. Also, go to grainelevatorauction.com for the liquidation sale of Wellman Seeds buildings and equipment. Bidding ends February 18th and 20th at 4 p.m. That's grainelevatorauction.com for more information. Online today at ohioagnet.com. It is tax season, and there's some unique tax considerations to keep in mind, specifically with regard to soil fertility. Now, buying farmland not tax deductible, but under IRS Code Section 180, says Brian Ravencroft, farmers might be able to deduct the value of excess soil fertility when purchasing land. To qualify, the buyer must establish beneficial ownership, ensure the land wasn't farmed by them the previous year, and conduct soil testing in the year of purchase. A third party must assess residual nutrient levels and confirm they're being used by crops. The deduction can be significant, but the IRS provides little guidance on allocating purchase costs to fertilizer, meaning claims could be scrutinized in an audit. It's the subject of this week's Ohio AgNet podcast, featuring Clinton Joan Nestor of Nestor Ag in Williams County. Here's a clip.
We're running a standard soil test on it, and that would be the easily available nutrients. So we're by no means collecting all of the nutrients that are out there on your farm, but what we would call easily available. I think in the tax code it says excess nutrients is how it's termed, and that's maybe a little broad as to what that truly means, but I guess we've kind of taken that line that's your easily available nutrients that the crop would see.
It's in this week's Ohio AgNet podcast writing off soil fertility costs and what's allowed in the tax code. The White House has called out Brazil for its almost 10-year-old tariff on U.S. ethanol as an example of duties the U.S. needs to fight back against with reciprocal tariffs. President Trump announced reciprocal tariffs to match others' duties on U.S. goods. As the White House pointed out, Brazil's 18% tariff on U.S. ethanol versus almost no duty on Brazil's ethanol. Trump's pick for U.S. Trade Representative Jamison Greer was asked about the Brazil tariff at his Senate confirmation hearing.
This is the specific kind of unfairness that drives me crazy, and it's not just me. The president himself, he sees these kinds of unfairnesses and the unlevel playing field, and it's so obvious, it's so blatant, and it's gone on for so long.
U.S. ethanol industry says its exports to Brazil have basically dried up, and the Renewable Fuels Association said it hopes the president's reciprocal tariff will finally get Brazil to return to free and fair ethanol trade. Also lately in ethanol news, the year-round sale of E15 is back on the docket for consideration. The numbers that came out from USDA's February crop production and supply and demand forecast, not all that exciting, but there were a few high points. USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer tells us one of the biggest takeaways has to do with this month's beef production and price forecast.
An increase in beef production for 2025, but also a pretty sharp upward revision, $5.25 a hundredweight increase in steer price for 2025 as we continue to see robust demand. We continue to observe very high, record high fed and feeder cattle prices.
Minimal changes in global crop production forecast and commodity balance sheets, but one takeaway:
lower Chinese wheat imports, lower Chinese rice imports, lower Chinese corn imports. Kind of a theme across global balance sheets. One could argue a bit on the supply side, but maybe overall macroeconomic weakness in China part of the story as well.
That's USDA Chief Economist Seth Meyer. Markets closed today due to President's Day, but we'll take a look back at how they wrapped up last week. Up next.
Help maximize your yield potential and savings with 0% financing on leading fungicides from BASF. You can't beat 0%, especially when you could save big on consistent performing fungicides like Revitec fungicide and Veltima fungicide until March 15, 2025. 0% financing means keeping more in your wallet for better ROI. Talk to your BASF retailer today about the Grower Finance Program. Subject to credit approval, terms and conditions. See BASF Grower Finance Program for details. Always read and follow label directions.
Did you know that soybeans are the secret sauce behind Ohio's booming poultry farms? Each year, poultry consume a whopping 937 million bushels of soybean meal nationwide. This high-protein powerhouse keeps chickens and turkeys thriving, making Ohio number 2 in egg production and number 9 in turkey farming. From farm to table, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Happy President's Day. Markets closed in Chicago, so we look back to Friday's closing numbers. As those are checking in for March corn, they closed $4.96 1/4, up 2 3/4 cents per bushel, with new crop corn at $4.73, up 1/4 penny. March soybeans $10.36, up 6 cents. New crop beans at $10.52, a 6 3/4 cent gain. While July wheat up 22 1/4 penny on Friday to a price of $6.25 1/4. That's quite the jump. Markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. February live cattle down $1.80 to $197.75, with April feeder cattle off $1.55 to $266.43. April lean hogs 50 cents down to $92.60. Markets open back up overnight. Stay warm out there. This is the Ohio Ag Dat.